All right.
Can you hear
Welcome,
me?
everybody, to the Beat Cancer Answer weekly live call, hosted 7 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time on Thursdays every week. The date is January 18th of 2024, and we have already got the conversation going. Sarah has shared experience that she's had where her husband was a cancer survivor himself and was out shoveling snow and doing some physical labor and experiencing some pain, and got a little concerned that it might be cancer related and cancer coming back. And Sarah was reminding him that, hey, no, it's not necessarily that. You just were out doing a lot of physical labor. You might have aches and pains otherwise. And that brings in an interesting conversation of the power of the mind and the importance for cancer survivors, or really anyone, to not jump to conclusions and not jump to default thinking that little aches and pains that we may experience in day-to-day life are necessarily a big illness or a giant ailment that's more serious, like cancer. Because our bodies, they're beautiful, our bodies are strong, but the world is a harsh place sometimes, especially when we're putting our bodies to work. And pains and aches and different temporary states of any of those things are going to happen. And that doesn't mean that something worse is going on. It could just be a little isolated thing. And of course, if we take care of ourselves, rest, recover, have a good night's sleep, take a nice hot bath when you need to, ice an appropriate area when you need to, even simple things, or manage your inflammation with different good foods or herbs or teas, lots of different tactics. Sometimes that's all you need. A lot of the times it's all you need. And anyone could weigh in that conversation as well.
And take a look at also, a lot of the time some of that is fear motivated, all right, Sarah. So it's understandable that the first thing he'd do is resort back to thinking that it's the cancer. But this is where that positive mindset really makes a difference, and analyzing what has gone on, which is what you did. So you did the right thing. And then you took it forward and you said, okay, let's analyze what's happened and let's do corrective actions. And well done.
Yeah, absolutely. Sarah, was there anything else you wanted to add to that? You're muted. You're actually muted, Sarah, again.
He rested all day today, and I did all the lifting. So I'm hoping by tomorrow he should be feeling better. So, yeah. Thank you for your explanation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We have a new person on, Norman. Norman, would you like to introduce yourself today?
Well, yes, that'd be fine. I live in Monroe, Georgia, and that's just a little bit east and slightly north of Atlanta. And I'm 80 years old. I was recently diagnosed with cancer in my right eye lid, and I did a biopsy, and it turned out to be sebaceous carcinoma. So my daughter is very knowledgeable on eating properly, and she recommended a book to me by Chris Wark. It had a lot of good recipes for food, and so I've been doing that since 2nd of January, and so that's kind of my story right now.
Norman, you're off to a very good sound start. You know, the World Health Organization has identified that one of the number one keys to health issues today is our diet. Mm-hmm. And by making healthy food choices, and it will impact and hopefully help you. And Norman, it's never too late to start making changes in your health. That is in decreasing stress, eating healthy, exercise, making sure you get you're adequately hydrating. There are so many good things that you can be doing. You know, when you're 80, do what you love to do. It is about being happy with where you are and building small steps to make changes to keep you viable and healthy. Okay?
Okay.
And does anyone else want to add to what I've said so far? And welcome to the show, by the way, Norman. Thank you for coming in to see us.
Somewhere I got an email about it. I don't know who sent it to me, but I got an email.
You can always ask questions here, and there are several cancer coaches online right now who will help you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We have Beverly. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Beverly, but I'm just here as a listening author. I don't have any issues, so I'm just trying to improve my health. I don't have any cancerous issues, I should say.
But the nice thing is, Beverly, is that you've taken the opportunity to listen. And what we do with Beat Cancer Answers, not necessarily talk about cancer all the time. A lot of the time is what kind of things can we do to prevent cancer? What kind of things can we do to help us move forward and keeping us healthy, with a healthy mindset, and with that mindset on wellness and your definition of health and wellness, and what you can do to keep yourself, healthy and feel good about who you are. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, your age, or?
I am 71, and I'm post-stroke. So that's my issues right now. You know, I'm trying to rehabilitate myself into walking and using my hands. I was right-sided stroke, so my hands and my legs, my leg and my hand is, deficient. So I got involved with the Growing Food Network, and I got, their timetable, and tonight was your show, and this is my first time listening, so I'm just absorbing.
And you know what? You're already starting off doing one thing that you were mentioning, exercise. And there's some of the things you need to do and getting ahead. Number one, diet. But number two, don't be afraid to start using those limbs. Okay? And chair yoga is very effective. And work within your limitations. All right?
Uh-huh.
Did you want to comment on Beverly to support her in her post-stroke health?
There always so much to add to any health condition. It depends, you have to look into stuff like to reduce your stresses, to have a quality sleep, which is very important during any health condition, not only cancer or stroke. So learning how to breathing exercise is a great thing to do, especially for people with high blood pressure. I would assume that you have the blood pressure that kind of led to the stroke. So breathing exercises, walking, meditation, learning how to balance your breathing and controlling your breathing, it actually does a great input in blood circulation, right? So those are the things and of course, watching your diet, what you eat, eliminating stuff that really causes problems, like oils or processed food, all of those things. So off of my head, that's what I think of right now.
Yeah. And your diet is really important post-stroke. So look at trying to eat healthy food, like no carbonated vegetables, no processed foods, decreased sugar. I'm sure your doctor will look at lipids and whether or not you need to be on medication for that or not. But you know what? A lot of that is manageable through diet and keeping yourself well hydrated, and sleep is restful sleep, and whatever help you need, please ask questions. Be comfortable asking us questions and see where we can help you along the road. Most changes, and it's never too late to start, as I said, is making healthy lifestyle change that will move forward in helping you implement a plan. Take the time to get a book and journalize what you're experiencing, how you feel about it, what are you doing about it, and did it work? And then make small changes that are going to make you feel comfortable and good about where you're going and what you're doing.
Yeah, implementing herbal teas such as hawthorn. You can talk to your doctor about it. Additional horsetail, or those are all nice herbs to add to your diet. Talk to your doctor if they're not interfering with any of your medications you're on right now. So, yeah, those would be right now.
Okay. What was that you said, the first one you said?
I'm sorry?
What was the first herb you said?
Oh, hawthorn.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I tried hawthorn and well, not ashwagandha, hawthorn and something else. Okay, I use the arugula. I use beets and arugula and stuff like that to say, to keep my blood pressure down, because I have issues with that spiking ever so often. And I basically eat more vegan than anything else right now. And I do, try intermittent fasting most days.
That's good.
Yeah.
Excellent. You're on the right track.
You're on the right track. Yeah, that's true. Those are the great stuff to implement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying those things. I'm very limited in my hands. I try writing most of the days, but it's a very, space-wise, it's a big print.
Yeah.
But journaling is not the easiest thing, but I do, if I try to do things, record them. That's what I try doing, recording things on the phone,
Right.
as opposed to writing.
Yeah. Most important part when it comes to stroke is always balance your blood sugar levels.
That's low. My blood sugar is low, 95 sometimes, but my A1C is 5.3.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
I had one thing I wanted to talk about was the Magnesium Miracle book. One of the reasons for strokes is the low magnesium, and a lot of people don't seem to know about it, like the doctors about it. So calcium and magnesium are supposed to be 1-to-1, but for a lot of people in the United States, they have more calcium than magnesium, and you really need it to be 1-to-1. So a magnesium red blood cell test is supposed to be the best one for that. Yeah.
Right, but I do take magnesium, although I didn't really isolate the results of a blood test to find out if it was low or not. But I do use magnesium, every day. I don't take calcium because I try to eat, nuts and foods with calcium, spinach and stuff, but beans.
And what you just said, Beverly, it brings up an important point and an interesting thing to consider. Because when we're looking at metrics and hard numbers to describe our assorted things that are going on in our body, it's important to consider what we are considering low or high in this level or that level. It's advisable sometimes not to just listen to what one person might say, hey, this is a low level of this, you need to raise this. This is a high level, because everybody's body is naturally a little different, and a natural and healthy resting level of a certain mineral or a certain cell salt, like magnesium, it could vary, and especially when those statistics might be based off of what is a common level, well, perhaps what we're measuring up against isn't a very healthy person. And again, that's not making any allegations of any one specific form of measuring. I think it's just important to consider why are we referring to certain numbers as high or low, and who are we comparing against? Because numbers are very interesting. Numbers numbers can mean different things to different people, even the same number.
Yeah, and never ever like looking on like videos on Google or on Instagram. Don't fall for the things and just jump and do the things just because one video said something. You have to understand your own body, what your body needs. When there is a magnesium, there's a need for potassium because they have to be equal ratio at the same time. So if you overtake magnesium, then you're going to be low in potassium. That's going to throw your blood pressure off too. So it's all a lot about understanding about your body and learning how to deal with it. If you need magnesium, then what would be the ratio of potassium you're getting in? Do you have enough vitamin D to process and to kind of walk through those things and kind of transport calcium in your system? So every step is so important to pay attention. And Zach, are we allowed to suggest any supplements or anything like that on the Zoom call or no?
You can recommend supplements that you've heard of being helpful for things or that. We're not going to give anyone any specific prescriptions, but you can certainly recommend things that you yourself find useful, and someone can explore the information if they see fit. At least to my understanding, I don't think that's a problem.
Okay. So the supplement I would have recommended, Beverly, to talk to your doctor about called nattokinase. I don't know if you're taking any blood thinners or not, but talking to your doctor about nattokinase, if he is familiar or she's familiar with it.
I use that. I used that, as a matter of fact, when I first, after stroke, I did use it, but I didn't continue it. I just used it for like 3 months.
Okay. It's a good one to use to kind of break down the clots in the body. So that's something, with the diet, with the right sleep, with the stressors, with everything, you are on the right track, I would say.
Okay.
But reducing stress is very important.
That I'm trying to do. That I know is was part of my lifestyle. So I am trying to do that.
Yeah. Try some meditation or some beginner yoga. That's chair yoga, not on the floor or anything, or sitting on your couch, but just so that you're starting to using deep breathing techniques and just the centering that'll help to lower your blood pressure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it would be nice if you work with someone who would keep track of your blood work, your mineral levels, and just put you on the right path.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, and that's an interesting thing to branch off of that was touched upon a bit ago, because what I'm talking about is the balance between certain things in our body. A lot of people get laser focused on something that they hear about and say, oh, I need this, I need to take this, I need to take this. Whether it's, I need more magnesium, or, oh, I need more potassium, or, oh, I need more calcium, I need more this or that. It's always important to consider in the body what else is playing a role in how that particular thing is utilized. Because nothing in the body is isolated. Everything in the body is in part of a system with, and at a smaller level, some sort of system is connected to another one, and all of it's connected to our whole body. And so it's difficult to just isolate one thing and say, oh, I need to adjust this, because it's going to play a role with several other things that you have going on in you.
Okay.
And that's why we call this holistic health. You have to consider the whole package.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. When I first sort of recovered from it, I did a little naturopathic here and some physiotherapy and on my own hyperbaric therapy I did, and more physical exercise and some water aqua exercises, And then I did, from the naturopath, I started doing a couple. He gave me quite a few minerals and things that I could, take. So I did try most of them, and what I found was beneficial or affordable for me, I use and continue using. But
and I fully support you in your aquatherapy. The nice thing about working, when you're exercising in water, is that buoyancy and allows you to all of your muscles and it's passive range of motion that you're working with, and so it's easier on your joints, but you still get to have the full benefit of using that muscle, and it can actually be very beneficial for you at this time. Yes, do so.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is a body in motion stays in motion. Rest is important, but so is actively working out. Now, working out has many different forms. Working out isn't just gym. Working out isn't just treadmill. Working out isn't just going for a run. It all depends on where an individual is at or where someone's individual body part that they're looking to work out is currently at. If someone has experienced something that has made a particular body part currently very weak, well, you base your workout based on what you're currently working with. And so if it's very simple, such as just a couple arm lifts, or, a couple, I'm going to hold this 1 pound thing, or, and then there's different, and I'm not making any specific recommendations for anyone's specific circumstances, but I am advocating for do what you can to strengthen a body part, especially when it really needs it, because if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yep.
As a little phrase,
right, Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And after having a stroke, it's so difficult, especially if it's affecting your right arm or your right leg or your right side. It's to still try to get, use your good arm to pull it up and to pull and to use that muscle, okay? So don't be afraid to exercise and use maybe a 1 pound weight and little things that'll make change for you. Don't keep that arm like frozen. Move it, because you want to try and practice, because that's how the muscle memory and the nerve memory starts to work again. Slowly rebuild. You have to move it, even if it's you're mechanically doing it initially.
I do try. I mean, it's not a lot, but I do try, using the other hand sometimes to support it, and I try to hold stuff in it, like going to the bathroom with stuff to throw out stuff. I do try to use it.
Another thing to consider is finding a good practitioner of medical massage. There are a lot of different forms of medical massage, and that'll come with different titles. There's a standard LMT, licensed massage therapist, and with specializations in injury recovery or sports recovery. There are more Asian arts such as shiatsu or lots of different arts. But basically, a proper medical massage therapist can get things flowing to that body part, because especially when there's an injury in a particular area, it's possible that the pathways for blood and the pathways for lymphatic fluid and different processes in there that you can't necessarily see or be aware of, they could just be stagnant or stuck or slightly off if a lymph node is just not very healthy, or a nerve isn't firing the proper way. All of these things can make it harder for an area to recover. And a proper medical massage therapist can help reset these things and these processes in the body and get those assorted things flowing. They can be a massive difference to bring health and wellness back to an area. If there's any muscle fibers that are tight or twisted or knotted, it's a proper medical massage therapist can undo or help all of those things. And sometimes it's not a one-time solution. A lot of times if injury is very extensive, it is something that might take time to fully help, but a good one can allow you to see a lot of results just in one visit. And let me be clear, I keep saying medical massage because what I am referring to is different than a general massage. A general massage, while it might feel very good, it can be relaxing and soothing. A medical massage is it's a more serious thing for the sake of healing, and it does require a more in-depth understanding and comprehension of the body by the practitioner. But there are good ones out there. Anyone in New Jersey, Central New Jersey, I have a great one. But other than that, you'll want to do your homework.
Okay. So I had a chiropractor that he is supposed to find me, as he didn't really say it was a medical massage therapist, but he told me he was going to find me somebody that's licensed to give me physical, therapy. But we really didn't, go down to it to be in whether it was a therapist. But, I used to have like acupuncture. And they also told me about medical massage, but because it started getting cold, I really didn't explore it. So
understood. Yeah, and there's a lot of official titles for people that are doing similar things. Chiropractics is one specific thing, but there's a lot of chiropractors that also do different forms of medical massage. There's someone that does acupuncture. Acupuncture is another body art, another physical healing art. And an acupuncture or a specialist might also know a thing or two about other things. A lot of healing practitioners are diverse in what they know. For example, the guy that I work with, he knows clinical shiatsu, both Chinese originating and Japanese originating. He knows acupressure, which is similar to acupuncture, just instead of needles, it's using different tools or the body and hitting those same pressure points to get that myofascial release. Myofascial release itself is a specific art, and there are several brands of that, if you will. But yeah, you might find one person that, okay, I'm this, but they know these other things as well. It's interesting.
Okay.
I think the important thing, Beverly, is finding something that works for you, or a combination of therapies are what will help you in implementing a health plan that will move you forward slowly, one step at a time. That's what it's about.
Okay, that's what that's what I really am aiming for, so to try, different models to see which works best.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And it's always important, too, to consider who you're working with specifically, right? We want to make sure that we find a good person, or if we explore one thing and one practitioner might give us a bad experience, don't necessarily say, okay, I don't like that kind of thing. Maybe they just weren't the one for you to work with.
Right.
Any sort of intimate work or intimate, healing work that you're going to do with someone, it's important to find the right fit for you.
I know one thing, Beverly, is that Maya is exceptional in dietary guidance, also in a holistic approach, and I think she would be ideal in helping you too.
Where is she? Where is Maya? Or where can I get in contact with that person?
Thank you, thank you, Catherine. That would be me. But,
okay.
But I think coaches are great here at with cancer.
I didn't hear what you say.
I said I think. Oh, I pushed my microphone away. I said thank you. I think all coaches are great here at with cancer. It was a great. Yeah.
But she was she was wondering or I mean, for any of our coaches on here, you could talk about how someone on here or someone that's listening could get in contact with you to get help about whatever your specialty is. So
Okay.
it's okay if you mention how to get in contact with you, man.
I have another question for beatcancer.org, and that is, I wanted to know if you specifically limited animal proteins per week, because I read this book every year by Dr. Furman. And it's pretty clear from the China study and from his book, Eat to Live, that animal protein is very hard for humans to digest, and they're much more suited to vegetable proteins. And I just wondered if you set the limits. He sets a limit of 2 servings a week, I think, at the most 3. And the reason is it's so hard on the kidneys to detoxify and the detoxifying organs to detoxify animal proteins. I just wanted to know what the position was at your...
Yeah, absolutely. I'll field that one to begin. We at Beat Cancer understand that there's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all solution to help in all cases. And there are very interesting studies and very interesting, very respectable bits of information and very respectable, prominent figures of all different titles that recommend for a plant diet. At the same time, there's a lot of very respectable bits of information and bits of health experts and bits of doctors, this, that, the other, that also advocate for an animal diet or a combination of the two. So we are here to help everyone get better, no matter what that means, and no matter what that means for you. If you are someone that is starting to think or has been exposed to information that has convinced you that eating animal products is going to be bad, well, whether it is or isn't is another discussion, but now you're going to be thinking you're doing something bad, and that goes back to the mindset and how we can make ourselves unwell and make ourselves sick. So if you personally want, not you, Sarah, or anyone, a proverbial you, think that you want to experiment with a plant-based diet, go for it. And we'll, or some of our coaches will help you do so. Myself, I spent many years as strictly a plant eater. I found it to be very detoxifying for some time. I was raised on a standard American diet, more or less. So when I started only eating plants, I found myself experiencing a lot of detoxification benefits, and I was convinced at that point that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And after several years trying different combinations of eating a plant-based diet in different ways, I and my body felt like I was missing something, and I just wasn't getting my body what it needed and what it was feeling like it wanted. And so I chose to experiment with adding the animal products back in as clean as I can, making sure that they're, you know, as only good stuff as I can. And for me now, that's working, and I do a combination of the two, or maybe even a primarily animal-based. And I feel much healthier now than when, towards the end, when I was only doing plants. Is that going to change 2 years from now? Maybe. So my thing is that what's right for you isn't necessarily what's right for this person, and what's right for you right now isn't necessarily what's going to be right for you in a year from now. So are there benefits to a plant-based diet? Absolutely. Can animal proteins be hard to digest for some people sometimes? Maybe. Can plant proteins be difficult to digest for some people sometimes? Perhaps. It all depends on the current condition of your body. What might be going on in someone's kidneys that is making it unable to digest plant or whatever protein at that time? Maybe that's a different root issue, and that kidney can be strengthened. You know, there's so many unique circumstances, and so in a Beat Cancer regards, our course and our content, we talk a lot about the healing power of plants and the detoxifying power of plants, but we don't demonize animal products by any means. And some of our coaches are animal-based. Some of our coaches are plant-based. many are a combination of the two. So there's something for everybody here. And even on this call, I know that there's both those camps here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I agree. The other way to look at it is also just because it's plant-based does not mean that it's not going to interfere with your blood sugar levels. So even being on the plant-based, you still have to know what is the right way of being being on a plant-based diet is not going to interfere, number one, with the hormones or sugar, because there's certain fruits and vegetables does spike the blood sugar, and that's what causes a lot of problem in the system. So just doing, like checking on yourself, it's the best way to know. When you eat plant-based, mix of a plant-based or animal proteins, so all of those things and checking on your blood sugar levels, that's the way to learn what's the best thing for your body.
Yeah, and no matter which side of that concept you're on, or whether someone's somewhere in the middle, I think everyone agrees that if you're eating it and it's real food, it's probably a lot better than if you're eating standard processed foods and artificial colors and processed sugars and table salt, processed salt. You know, no matter what you're eating, plants or animals, any combination of the above, if you were to cut out the fake stuff that is commonly referred to as food, but is actually just food-like products, you're probably going to be in a better position than you began. And that's something we could all agree on.
Yeah. The other thing with the plant-based diet, more plant, the other things consider is oxalates. There's a lot of oxalates in a lot of vegetables, such as greeny, leafy spinach, and all of those things. And that's a big toll on the kidneys. So does your body break down those oxalates good enough not to cause damage to a kidney? So, I mean, like, there's a lot of things to go deeper into understanding plant-based, and it's so easy for someone to say, oh, plant-based is good for you, or animal is good for you, you know, and for people to follow. I, for example, have a few clients that once they stopped being vegetarians, added animal products, their hormones improved, their condition improved, they got better. So it all depends how people are feeling. For me personally, since I have a history of diabetes, I always have to be on the look for something that won't spike my blood sugar, because blood sugar is number one cause of so many health conditions. So I personally see when I'm on an animal diet, my blood sugar is stable and it has a straight line. It doesn't spike. It doesn't. So when I add any vegetables, you know, not all form of vegetables, but certain vegetables, or even fruits, it will spike my blood sugar. So I make a decision for myself. Everyone has to make a decision for themselves. You know, it all depends where your health is, where you're standing at, and how your body can tolerate. Animal products harden kidneys. Vegetables also could be hardened kidneys because of the oxalate levels. So, you know.
And something else you might want to look at is when we're talking about hydrating, it is really important to make sure you're drinking water, okay? And try not to drink a lot of coffee. Some products that, you know, I drink water and I put lemon in it, or some limes and things like that. When you don't drink enough, you actually have a release of cortisol, which can actually, you know, which is contraindicated in a lot of your health conditions. The big thing is to drink water and to keep your health strong by eating foods that are from the garden, fresh from the store, that are not prepackaged. Cook at home. When you cook your own food and make your own food, you're on the right track, okay? That is what's important, eating natural whole foods, because it's those whole foods that have the natural vitamins and the minerals and what you need and what your body cells want. Now, Norman, this is just as important for you as it is for Beverly. It's eating healthily and choosing. It's a choice. Just like you choose to love, you also have to choose to eat healthy and to eat well.
And on the note of water, we can touch on two different elements of that. I could circle back to something I said before and reference balance, because water can also be overdone. Water, you can drink too much water and make yourself very, very sick and very unwell. You can end up diluting your stomach acid so much that you get digestive problems, and that causes a host or a horde of different issues. You get nausea, indigestion, the food ends up sitting in your stomach not digesting, so you could, have that get nasty and cause all sorts of stuff. It's a very dangerous thing, actually, to overhydrate. Someone that's 150 pounds doesn't need the same amount of water as someone that's 250. Someone that's working physically all day and sweating and expending all of that, it doesn't need as much moisture as someone who's sitting more. Someone that's in a hot climate doesn't need the same as someone who's in cold. So there's no prescription necessarily for quantity of water. It's important to listen to your body and get to know your body's signs of, okay, I could use some, or okay, that's enough. In regards to balance, you can hydrate yourself so much that you dilute your electrolytes. Once you're hydrating, you need those electrolytes to maintain proper energy and actually to maintain proper hydration and distribution of the water within your body. And one of the most simple electrolytes is salt. Now, when I'm talking about salt, that means real salt. Whether it's mined salt, official, or like real clean mined salt that came from the ground and was just chipped up and sent to you, or proper sea salts. And within those two terms I just said, there's a lot of variation. There's a lot of good options out there, whether it's Maldon or whether it's Celtic or assorted ones. Be careful with Himalayan sea salt. A lot of it has been tested to have dangerous levels of certain stuff depending on how they processed it. Some of it has even been shown to have like artificial dyes in it, unfortunately. But real salt with water is essential as well. Salt is not an evil thing. It's been very demonized in recent times, but it is absolutely essential. Table salt is not real salt. That is what's harmful, and that's why all the campaigns are run to let people think it's unhealthy. But real salt is healing. But back to the water. On top of the quantity of water that you are consuming, it's also important to consider the quality of water you are consuming, because not all water is the same. Not all water is the same. What else is coming in that water? Your water might look clear, but at a microscopic level, you might not know what's in it. It could contain all sorts of nasty things, whether it's plastic or hormones or antibiotics. If you're getting it, and then I'm talking about if you're getting it from straight from the tap, unfortunately public water systems contain a lot of not so good things that you not want to put in your body. There might be antibiotics or hormones or pharmaceuticals or all sorts of nasty chemicals, chlorine, fluoride, you name it. It's not necessarily being filtered out for you in the public water system, so let's not rely on that to begin with. But, so yeah, that's why it's important to filter your water properly. Unfortunately, a standard filter that you just have in your fridge and dispense from there doesn't really do a whole lot. Unfortunately, a Brita filter or something, small like that, it doesn't really do a whole lot. There's a lot of different filtration things you could do. They range in price and complexity. Some of them are very low cost. Some of them are simple. Some of them, water filtration can get very expensive at the higher end of things. There's no limit. But it's something to consider. What is your health worth to you? what else is worth investing in if not making sure that the water, which is the majority of your body, is good water? So it's something that's essential to consider whether you are getting clean water that's free of bad stuff, but it's also important to consider if you have good stuff in your water. Because water from the ground, if we're going back years and years ago when people used to drink from natural springs and streams, I mean, people still do in many places of the world, but it's important to consider when you are getting water in this modern day and age, how can we get good stuff in our water that is meant to be there? Well, there are an assortment of products that once you clean your water, you can add into them that'll put those organic minerals back into the water. And it kind of simulates the experience of the natural water cycle where, okay, water evaporates up. That's a filtration process because the solids or bad stuff wouldn't evaporate up. Then when it rains back down or it's coming through the earth and flowing through the streams, again, this is assuming a clean environment in nature, water is picking up the natural minerals and such from stones it passes over in the soil, etc. And then when you drink that water, you're supposed to get those minerals with it. And there's different schools of thought here. I am sharing one school of thought. There's also a school of thought that we should not have minerals in our water. There's schools of thought that say distilled water is the best. There's schools of thought that say distilled water is harmful. And this is where health can be a very interesting thing. And I will go back to that. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. And it's important to experiment and find what works for you.
And Norman and Beverly, just so that you know, consult with your doctor about, especially if you have cardiac issues, and how much water and how much salt intake you should be utilizing, okay? And then make changes that are right for you.
Okay. Yeah, we're not writing prescriptions here. We are talking about interesting things that people might want to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Were we able to help you, Norman and Beverly?
Yes, quite a lot, thank you. One of my problems is drinking water now. I was able to drink before. I find it, to me pessimistic. Sometimes I get out and I have to go to the bathroom so many times that I just restrict the water drinking.
Yeah, I can relate to that. It's the inconvenient side of it. The more you drink, the more you're gonna have to get up.
Yeah.
But hey, it's good to get those legs stretched occasionally too.
I've really enjoyed listening to everybody.
Well, and remember, you don't want to be getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning or a couple of times during the night. You really do need your rest. So you have to manage how you're eating and your sleep-wake cycles with how you're hydrating as well. Because sleep is just as important.
It is. That's why, for people who tend to get up in the middle of the night to run to the bathroom, it's better to drink their water. Take a water intake earlier in the day than after 4, 5, after those hours, but taking more during earlier day. Dehydration is another cause of high blood pressure problems, So you don't want to dehydrate yourself also.
And there's so many branches of things that we could talk about from any topic of health, because on the topic of having to urinate a lot with moderate or even high hydration, we could start talking about pelvic muscle health, because a lot of people have weak pelvic. That's both women and men. And because the pelvic muscles or the perineal muscles or all the muscles in the area are involved in the urination process, both in being able to hold urination and successfully release it when you need to. If you have weak pelvic muscles, that might be a contributing cause to having to urinate more frequently with more water. And that's another point of consideration. But we're not going to get into all of that tonight because we only have a few minutes here. But see, Craig just joined us. Norman, Did you want to answer the question Catherine had posed, if you had found tonight's call helpful? Was this your first time? I forget if you said it.
It is my first time, and I really appreciated all the interaction and all. And I will make this a part of my weekly schedule, and hopefully see you back next. It is on Thursday night at 7, correct?
That's correct. Same time, same place. Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
And Beverly and Norman, you're going to see that we'll have a variety of topics, anywhere from dieting to relaxation techniques to stress management to there's a whole gamut to cancer-related issues, and we also often have guest speakers as well. So you will find that by coming every week, there's always something small that you might take away and that might benefit you in the long run. So that's what it's about, is listening, finding what's right and what sounds right for you.
Okay.
And if ever there's anything someone wants to come on and share, we're open to learning from you guys too, because a lot of people have picked up an interesting thing about health along the way, and we're always wanting to learn more. With that said, I may just close this a couple minutes early. It seems like a wonderful stopping point. So unless anyone has any very specific closing thoughts, we will see everyone next week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Wonderful.
everybody.
Take care, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the call, and have a
Good night,
wonderful
everyone.
rest of your
Thank
evening.
you.
See you next week, everybody.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.